Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Tel Aviv. Coming up in today's show, the Israeli Defense Force mobilizes in Jerusalem. An online forum brings Israelis together to combat terrorism, and Israel takes on space. I'm Natasha Kirchuk, here with the latest news in Israel. Israel is deploying hundreds of soldiers in Jerusalem to bolster security against ongoing terrorism. 300 Israeli soldiers were mobilized to secure the capital city today. Meanwhile, police are beginning to set up checkpoints in Jerusalem's eastern neighborhoods. These security measures aim to prevent further terror attacks. Yesterday's violence left 3 Israelis dead and over 30 wounded. Meanwhile, the head of the northern branch of the Islamic movement denies inciting violence against Israelis. Raed Salah headed to Jerusalem court to appeal his conviction. Yet his statements in court suggested continued support for a third intifada. He declared, "In spirit and blood, we will defend Al-Aqsa Mosque." As the current wave of terrorism continues, the Israeli government is taking steps to outlaw the Islamic movement. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is planning to visit the Middle East in efforts to calm Palestinian-Israeli tensions. The triple marked Kerry's most recent effort to broker peace in the region since his failed attempts last year. In a press conference last night, Kerry addressed the latest violence in Israel.
There's been a massive increase in settlements over the course of the last years. Now you have this violence because there's a frustration that is growing, and a frustration among Israelis who don't see any movement. So I look at that and I say, if that did explode, and I pray and hope it won't, and I think there are options to prevent that, but we would inevitably be, at some point, we're going to have to be engaged in working through those kinds of difficulties. So better to try to find the ways to deal with it before that happens than later.
Looking for pepper spray? News on whether traffic is backed up because of the latest knife attack? Secret Tel Aviv has the answer. The online forum is proving to be a lifeline for many Israeli residents. With over 83,000 users, Secret Tel Aviv has morphed into an advice board for new immigrants. And the most recent advice centers on terrorism. Members can find posts about how to sign up for self-defense courses, how to treat knife wounds, and where to buy self-defense products. Maybe we should all join Secret Tel Aviv. It looks like the current wave of terror attacks isn't scaring everybody. 65 new immigrants from North America landed in Israel today. The Olim hail from the United States and Canada. 5 young men and women on the flight will be serving in the Israeli Defense Forces. If you thought Israel would be a leading subject in yesterday's U.S. Democratic debate, you thought wrong. Despite ongoing terrorism in Israel, the country was barely an afterthought as the candidates duked it out. Instead, the opponents blamed Hillary Clinton for current instability in the Middle East. Former Virginia Senator Jim Webb was the only candidate to mention Israel. He said the Iran deal has endangered America's greatest ally. Let's take a break from the politics. Great news for Sephardic Jews. Portugal has started granting citizenship to the descendants of Jews it persecuted 5 centuries ago. Portugal and Spain have long sought to make amends for past wrongdoing against Jews during the Inquisition. And this week, Portugal finally granted citizenship to the first 3 Sephardic descendants. In other news, NASA and Israel have signed an agreement to expand cooperation in space. But what does that mean exactly? The U.S. Space Agency will now use Israeli innovation and technology in future missions to Mars. Plus, both NASA and Israel's Space Agency will conduct joint missions. This exciting new collaboration goes to show Israel's growing influence in the world of space.
You are noted for your innovation.
It looks like the Israeli Space Agency has a lot to look forward to. We'll end the show with an amazing video of astronauts having fun on the job. Enjoy watching, and that's it for today's headlines.